Welcome to my 2023 Stanley Cup playoff prediction bracket red light district. Not that kind of a district. Get your mind out of there. Jeez. Okay, let's start with round one, obviously, and in the East, with probably the easiest series to predict, and that's Boston versus Florida. Florida's been playing some playoff hockey lately. They've got a hot goaltender that's come up from the AHL, and Leon, who's won them a bunch of games. And I know there's been an illness going through Boston's locker room. Maybe you will see a few missing guys for game one. And I think that's what Florida will take. Maybe they'll take a game here, but I think that'll be about it. I think we'll see the Bruins take this in 5. Let's go out west and talk about Colorado versus Seattle. Seattle's got a really deep team. I think they're tied or in the lead for one of the most deepest goal-scoring clubs in the NHL this season, with like 13 guys in double digits. So McCann hit 40. After that, it's a bit of a drop-off, but they do have some talented guys. Their first line is more like a second line, and then the rest of the club is more like a really good third line, right? They just come after you in waves. Thing is, their goaltending stinks, right? Then you look at Colorado, and they don't have Kadri this time around. Comfer is stepping into the second line center. Good with faceoffs. Had a career year, but still. And then, there's some bumps and bruises here. No Landeskog at all for the playoffs. That really hurts, not having your captain. I'm sure McKinnon will play like two people. But, and Rantanen's had a great year, of course. Makar's walking into this one a bit bruised. Their defense still looks pretty good, though. Will Manson start game number 1? Maybe game number 2? In any case, I'm going to pick the Avalanche for this one in 6. I think the Kraken could give them some hell, though. Going back to the East, let's talk about my beloved Maple Leafs versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I already did a video on this. I'll put up a link at some point. You could check that out. I said the Leafs were going to take this. I didn't say in how many games. The Leafs have Samsonov. He did play some playoff games last year. He's not that experienced. We all know Tampa Bay hasn't played well in this last half of the season. They've been like sub 500 sort of hockey. So Toronto's much deeper with all their, the sort of playoff guys, bruisers that they picked up at the trade deadline. In any case, Leafs in 6. Moving on, let's go to the West again with Dallas versus Minnesota. I'm a little concerned for Minnesota. They did play well this year, all considering, the handicap with the cap from, was from Suter and Parise, hitting them in the gut on the books there. But they managed a pretty good year. Gustafsson, if I'm pronouncing that properly, has had a great year for them in nets. We'll see. I would think maybe they'll still start Fleury, though. We'll see how that goes. Dallas is just top 5, top 10 in almost every category. Basic stats here, from special teams, goals for, goals against, that kind of thing, face-off dot, etc., etc. Ben's having, a rebound year after 4 down seasons. Sagan has done okay. They picked up Domi off the, at the deadline. Their goaltending is amazing. Ottinger's has been really good. He was superhuman last playoffs as well. Minnesota did pick up some, under the low-key kind of guys at the trade deadline with, was it Johansson and a couple other guys? I can't even remember. Klimberg, yeah, they got Klimberg, so he'll help them out on the power play maybe. He does play well in the playoffs. I still think Dallas is too much for them. I love Minnesota, but I'm going to go with the Stars in 5. Back to the East. We're going to go with, talk about Carolina versus New York Islanders here. I gotta get some water. I'm sorry. I can't. I got to get some ref quenching going on. Ref quenching. Sometimes I just don't make any sense. Half the time, probably. So the Hurricanes versus the Islanders here. Brindamore runs a tight machine, right? I just heard at the shooting of this video that Ranta was going to be starting instead of Anderson because Anderson hasn't been in the playoffs in like 2 seasons because he's been injured. And I don't think he's won a playoff series since he's been with the Ducks. With the Leafs, he's had great numbers, but he's always let that goal in at the very bad time. But why am I talking so much about a guy who's not even going to start? So Carolina is another one of those clubs who's very deep in terms of double-digit scoring throughout their lineup. I want to say it's around 12 guys or so. The Islanders have had trouble scoring. That's no surprise to anyone, but they've got amazing goaltending. That's why they've sort of snuck in to the playoffs here. Horvat has really helped them. He's meshed really well with Barzal, And this is a team, although they missed last season's playoffs, 2 seasons before that went to the semis versus Tampa in both of them and looked very good. I think this is a playoff club. Here's my first upset. And I know a lot of people are calling this, but I don't care. I'm going to pick the Islanders in 7. Hurricanes could just as well beat them in 5, though, right? Anywho, back out west, let's look at Vegas versus Winnipeg. The Vegas Golden Knights, with the new coach, have looked much better this season after missing the playoffs last year. And they look primed to do something, especially with Stone, who looks like he's going to be ready for Game 1, hopefully, in this series. The thing is, their goaltending, right? It's a bit of a carousel right now. It looks like Brossoit is going to start in net. So in Winnipeg, Hellbuck can steal a lot of games, be it playoffs or regular season. And don't forget, even though Winnipeg hasn't looked good for a while now, they've got some decent players. Ehlers looks like he may start Game 1. Perfetti, not so much. Maybe he'll pop in at some point in this series. But they could really use both those guys. Dubois, Wheelers, Scheifele, all great players. They have a decent defense as well. Although, let's be honest, their goaltending has sort of saved their bacon a lot of times. I'm going to go Vegas in 6 with this. Back out east, the Devils and the Rangers. Jersey's playing with house money here, right? This is their first time in the playoffs in a while. They're really deep, though. Picking up Timo Mears really helped them, of course. Hughes is having his career year, and he's only getting better. Super young. Grabbing Palat, though, in free agency, I think was sort of like a deadline pickup for them because he's the mucker, the grinder, who Tampa really misses. Devils look dangerous. Rangers, of course, we know Tarasenko, Kane. They don't seem to have really melded quite yet. Shesterkin has looked a lot better in net for them in the last third of the season, though. Both defenses sort of saw each other off in this series. Goaltending for Devils could be good. I don't know. We'll see. I got to give this to the Rangers, though, in 6 games. Back out west, in our last matchup here for round 1, Edmonton versus LA. This one is just going to be great to watch. Probably one of the best series to start off with. Maybe besides Leafs Lightning. The most exciting to watch anyways. And wow, both these guys are going in with somewhat unproven goaltending. Although picking up Korpisalo, who's looked really good down the stretch for LA. And he surprised Tampa that won playoffs. Right, he was part of the duo anyways with Merzlikins that helped sweep the Lightning. Maybe he could be their X factor there. Picking up Garykov to add to that defense has slotted everyone really well there. Speaking of defense, Ekholm seems to have been the magic key for this Edmonton Oilers team that has pushed everyone down just perfectly in this lineup. Although Cody Ceci and their top 4 for a contender, I don't know. Otherwise, Skinner has played really well for them in the last half of the season, especially. I think this could go either way. I could even see an upset here, really, for the Kings. But I'm going to go Oilers in 7. Whew. Okay, that's round 1. Let's grab a bevy. Okay, all right. Round 2. Again, let's start out east with Boston and Toronto. Allmark, could he turn into a pumpkin? He doesn't have much playoff experience, but you could say the same thing about Samsonov. Boston is still a deeper team on defense. You could argue about the forward group. I love my Leafs, but I think I've got to give this to the Bruins in 7. Next, let's go to the east. Let's talk about Colorado versus Dallas. Excuse me. I just had an inward hiccup. Oh, it didn't taste good either. Okay, so I think this is going to be a slugfest as well. I know Dallas can play some suppressing sort of games, but I think this could be a really entertaining matchup. These two clubs have met each other before in the playoffs, and it's been raunchy. Raunchy? Pick one of those. I'm going to say this is a huge upset, and I think this is when the goaltending for Colorado and the lack of center depth and maybe injuries, loss of Landeskog catches up with them. I'm going to say Dallas by a hair in 7 games. I love Colorado, but yeah, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. Okay, so back to the East. It's battle in New York here. Islanders versus the Rangers. These two clubs could really beat the hell out of each other too in this one. But I think the Rangers could squeeze this out. If Islanders make it this far, though, who knows? But I got to give this to the Rangers in 6. That's about as much. Maybe Kane and the gelling factor with Tarasenko as well. And the offense will just be too much for the Islanders. Back out west for the final matchup in round 2. Vegas versus Edmonton. A lot of unproven goaltending in this matchup as well. I think Edmonton's going to take this in 6 games. Going on to round 3 and the semifinals. Out east, we've got Boston versus New York Rangers. I keep thinking about Boston's goaltending, but how Shesterkin has been not as good as last year. Both teams are really deep, but I got to go Bruins in 6 in this one. And then finally, in out west, Dallas versus Edmonton. DeBoer behind this club has got a lot of playoff experience with Dallas. That's going to help for something. But I think Edmonton pushes through in 7. I feel like it's their time. All right, and that leaves us to the final. Boston Bruins versus the Edmonton Oilers. I'm almost ready to pass out. I've been talking so much and hyperventilating. It'll be a doozy. This will really drive up the ratings, won't it? McDavid and Draisaitl versus, a very deep team with Marchand, who's going to, and Pasternak and Bergeron, et cetera, et cetera. I just think the depth of the Bruins will surpass the super talented Oilers. I got to go with, this sounds very like 80s sort of matchup, doesn't it? With Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr. And anyways, yeah. So I got to go with the Bruins in 6. That's my cup winner right there. Now, for those of you who skipped to the end of this video, it's going to be the Rangers versus the Dallas Stars. I can see Dallas finishing them off in 5 in the final. Book it. That's it. That's all. Let me know what your picks are down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. How crazy do you think I am? Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please smash that subscribe button. If you want to support me in the channel, you can do that through my crowdfunding site and buy me a coffee. You'll see a link down below or just on my YouTube channel. I'll be moving very soon, so this might be my last video for a while. Maybe I'll try and shoot something over my phone, follow that Leafs Lightning matchup. We'll see how it goes. In any case, thanks again. Enjoy the playoffs. It's going to be so much fun. And hope to see you soon.